Well, this wasn't how I wanted this week to go. Hello if you've joined me over from the main Transport Evolved channel. Transport Evolved Take 2, as you know, is where we try and be a little bit more informal. It's where we hope to do more hangouts. It's where the Sunday musing is moving to. We tried it out last week and it seemed to do really well. So from this point onwards, hopefully we're going to do the Sunday musings on Transport Evolved because it's unscripted and I'm talking to you guys and you get to see a bit of me rather than more of the analytical stuff that we do. I've just made a video on the main channel talking about why there's no show today, why there's no scripted show. And I alluded that if you come over here to this channel, I'll talk to you about it. So where to start? For the last 5 or 6 years, if you've been following me, watching the channel, you know what I've had minor surgery on and off. I have had cardiac monitors put in my chest and then removed, and then I had another one put in because my family has something called long QT syndrome. It is a genetic condition. Sometimes you inherit it. Sometimes it's kind of caused by external influences. It's normally inherited, but you can just get it from having the wrong medication or just external factors influencing your heart rhythm. I'm not a cardiologist, but basically what long QT is it is an issue with the repolarization of a certain part of your heart. And it's an electrical wiring problem, which I think is insanely ironic considering what I do for a living. My late sister Susan had it. We didn't know she had it until she had a cardiac arrest during a mastectomy surgery. She had breast cancer. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she had a double cardiac arrest while she was in the OR, in the operating room. Because she was in the operating room, they were able to save her. They didn't remove all of her lymph nodes, and they were able to save her life. They were able to get her heart stabilized, and they gave her an implanted cardiac defibrillator, which is a bit like a pacemaker. Because they were unable to remove all of the lymph nodes, eventually she did pass away a couple of years ago to metastatic breast cancer because it just came back. They hadn't managed to get rid of it all first time because saving her life was more important in the instant than it was further down the line. Shortly after she was diagnosed with both, my dear friend Kate, who you see on the channel, the main channel, was with me one day, and I've always had a history of passing out and of fainting. And one day she was with me and I passed out and she said, "Hey, that's not normal." She is a nurse in her day job, and she said, "That's not normal. You need to go to the hospital." And so they started investigating me. All of the signs pointed to long QT. One of the side effects of long QT is that you pass out if you are shocked or scared or highly emotional. And it can cause an arrhythmia, basically, which means your heart's not beating properly, and it can cause your heart to go into a cardiac arrest, which is different to a heart attack. So a heart attack is when it's a circulation problem. Cardiac arrest is an electrical problem, a pumping problem. So anyway, to cut a long story short, for the last couple of years, I have been under investigation for having long QT syndrome. I moved to the United States midway through the first initial round of investigations. I had my first cardiac monitor in, and they said they weren't sure that I had long QT. They were going to get me genetically tested. My sister had a genetic test. My mum had a genetic test. They both turned out to have the same weird genetic mutation that is not known to cause problems, but is uncommon. So it's what they call a variant of unknown significance, and they didn't know there wasn't enough data to know if this was causing long QT or not. My mum had a cardiac monitor for a while, and it was discovered that her heart wasn't beating properly either. So she now has a pacemaker. I didn't like having cardiac monitor in, and I asked to have it removed. And then I had it removed, and they put me on beta blockers, which didn't make me feel good. They affect your circulation. It affects your ability to. It tends to cause you to put on weight, which it did in my case. Made it harder for you to lose weight, and it slowed down your heart. It meant that you tended to faint if your blood pressure got too low when you got up from the couch. And in the evenings, it would make me more tired, basically. I was a lot more tired on beta blockers. I told my doctor I wanted to come off them. And he said, well, we still don't know that you don't have long QT, so I want you to have a monitor put in, which I did, a second monitor. They put that monitor in, and they weaned me off beta blockers, and I felt a lot better. This year, I've been able to not go to the gym. I've been working out at home. I work out most days now. Thanks to Peloton, and thanks to a friend who watches the channel who gifted me a membership as a friend, and I've been able to work out most days, and I really enjoy it. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know it's something that I'm tweeting about a lot. It's probably in excess. And I apologise if this is TMI, but I feel I owe you guys an apology, or not an apology, an explanation as to why the content is going to go down and why there has been no official video today, other than this and the other one, but those are unscripted videos as opposed to sit down, research something for 4 hours, write a script, film it, edit it. So anyway, the final step, before they said, okay, you don't have long QT, we'll take this monitor out and everything will be fine. And the monitor just sits below my skin. It doesn't go into my heart or anything. It's just like a little thing that sits here on my chest. Just there on my chest. Was a stress test. They get you in there, they put you on a treadmill, they make you run, and then they watch your heart. Because one of the ways that they decide if you have long QT is to watch your heart after you've finished working out. And while my exercise was better than most people my age, I was actually able to exercise longer and harder and faster. So I had the stamina and the health. When I finished the test, my heart did some stuff. And I saw my cardiologist a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, I want to get a second opinion. And yesterday I spoke to him, and he said, yeah, you have long QT syndrome. This means that I'm going to have to go back on beta blockers. I already have. And it doesn't affect my ability to work. It doesn't affect my ability to do anything. But it was at a point where I had convinced myself I did not have that diagnosis. And I had convinced myself that I was fine, despite both my sisters and my mum all having it. I kind of convinced myself I hadn't. So that was the first sucker punch. And, by this morning, I'm like, okay, I have a heart condition. It's fine. I'm going to get genetic tested. I may, in the future, have to have an implanted defibrillator or something. I can live with this. It's a medical, something that's very well preventable in terms of you take medicine to slow your heart's response to adrenaline down so your heart doesn't beat so fast. You can also take medicine to slow your heart rate down, which means that you are less likely to have a weird thing that leads to a cardiac arrest, which is totally cool. But that, I woke up this morning and I was okay with that. I was feeling tired and I was just coming to terms with that. And then I got a phone call from my breast cancer specialist. Now, for those who don't know, cancer has been a big thing in my family. I lost my dad when I was 21 to a brain tumor. The really nasty type of brain tumor. The one that just goes everywhere. And that was about 6 months from diagnosis to death. And it was quick. Mercifully quick. I was in my penultimate year of college and had to grow up very quickly. And since then, everybody else in my family has been diagnosed with cancer. Everybody else has had breast cancer. So I lost my sister to breast cancer. My other sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, and shortly before my sister died, my mum was diagnosed with cancer. And Monday I had an MRI, which they put you in a tube, and basically it's like a big magnet, and they take an image of your body. And because of my hereditary, because of my sisters, because of my mum, I get a mammogram every year and I get an MRI every year, 6 months apart from each other. And I convinced myself again, this is just a routine, never had any issues before, had a couple of scares, but it's always turned out to be okay. This morning, my specialist told me that they have found some masses that are not normal. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I was on the phone to them, my brain kind of tuned out a bit because I've lost 2 people in my family to cancer, and so it's a hard thing to deal with. And hopefully this is nothing. Normally it is nothing. But they are going to order more tests, some of which I will be taking over the Christmas break, and possibly a biopsy, which I'll be taking over the Christmas break. And that, everybody, is why there was no normal video today. Because I have honestly felt like poop all day. I'm going to make a 10 tomorrow. I'm going to continue to make content. But this month has been insane for Transport Evolve. Like, we've had our highest number of viewers ever. I think we hit 750,000 in 16 days. 750,000 unique views in 16 days. We have earned almost as much as we earn in a month normally in the first few weeks of this month. And so, out of duty to my team and to my family, because obviously we use some of that income for the family, and I pay other people to help work with us and pay the bills, I know that that's all covered and I don't have to worry about that. And so I'm going to ease back off a bit. I regularly work too much. I regularly stay up until 11 o'clock at night working. And I've kind of got myself in a rut. And that's tough for my mental health as a creator, but it's also tough for my family. It is Christmas. I suck at Christmas. I hate Christmas. Like, I really do. I would rather people were nice to each other all the time than wrap things up and create a lot of extra waste, and then, especially when most of the people celebrating it are not celebrating it for religious reasons. They're just celebrating it because, hey, we get more gifts. But I'm going to try and do it this year. I want to try and do some projects in the house, one of which is going to be the Ubiquiti install, which I'll make videos on and we'll publish when we do. I'm not holding myself to any time frame. But I caught myself about, it's now 5:30, I caught myself about an hour ago looking at a script, researching, typing, double checking, triple checking, looking at the clock and going, it's going to be 7 o'clock before I record this, it's going to be 10 o'clock before it's up online. This is stupid. I've just had 2 big pieces of health news in 24 hours. Both of which hopefully are not going to impact my life as a whole. But I need to come to terms with it. I need to come to terms with it, and I need to give myself time and space. And so I wanted to apologise. I wanted to tell you what was going on. I wanted to clarify, because I know earlier on I made a tweet that said F cancer, and I think some of you thought that I had been diagnosed with it. Touch wood. It's just a mass. Touch wood, it's benign. Most of the time it is. And please don't leave me comments in the videos about some wonder diet or how you think cancer is just because of X, Y, and Z. Because unless you're a PhD, unless you are someone who actually knows biology and chemistry, I don't want to hear it. Because that is an insensitive thing to say to someone. It is incredibly, incredibly dumb and poorly timed. So let me deal with this in the way that I best deal with it, by trusting the medical professionals that I'm working with. I'm going to have less energy because I know that the beta blockers will do that to me. I know that I will be a little bit more subdued. I will probably have less energy to make videos, which means the content may drop. And that is the way it is. I'm 41. My dad was 55 when he died. His father, who also had cancer, died before he retired. Thankfully, today's modern world is a lot better than it was even 20 years ago. But my sister was in her 50s when she died of cancer. Early 50s. She was in her late 40s when she was diagnosed with it. My other sister was in her 40s when she too was diagnosed with cancer. And I'm not a gambling person. But whatever the outcome, I will fight it. And I understand that my fear is causing some of my reaction here. And I understand that it will likely be nothing. But I don't want to be my final regret to be that I spent too much time producing content for online when I could have been with my family. I love creating content, but it's not the reason for life. I told myself I wasn't going to tear up in this video. So I'm going to stop there. 10 will happen on the weekend, as it normally does. Other content will come out too. But until then, be awesome to each other. Keep evolving.